get back to you. You want your notes? Find something on there that shouldn't be there.
Mr. Jones, this gentleman was concerned about the treatment plant that we were going to put at the middle school. We're going to put a sewer line.
Right.
Yeah, across from right there at Weaver Pike and Pleasant Grove,
We know.
that little triangle.
No,
Yeah, what we've been told is it was going to be open air.
Not true.
Okay.
So
All
you
right.
still want to come in?
No, as long as it's.
Hi. My name's Michael Hughes. I live out there. Got my number. Call me.
Okay, that'll work. Cool.
Thank you.
There's a pump station's there, but it's
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as long as it's not Bennett.
Yeah, no, it's
It's gonna be an open air. Bennett.
We'll call the meeting to order. If you would, stand for a moment of silence and pledge, please.
Amen. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to tonight's meeting. First order of business, as usual, is to approve the agenda. When we approve the agenda, we also approve the consent agenda and all the items in it, including any minutes from any previous meetings. Do I hear a motion?
so moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Robinson seconds the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The ayes have it, so moved. I will now turn the meeting over to the director.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here this evening. Have just a few announcements. Number one, school is closed tomorrow. It is election day in Sullivan County, as it is all over the country. So if you haven't voted, please do so. Go out and vote tomorrow for the candidates of your choice. Even though school is closed and our students won't be here, we still will have staff in our buildings. And we have a professional development day going on, and we have a lot of items planned for them. On a high note, we do have our ACT scores back in for our high schools. The ACT composite for our school district is 20.4 this year, and that is up from from 19.8 in 2017, which is a good increase for us, and we're very pleased that our high schools are working hard in that area. We have a new class this year at the middle school level for our 8th grade students, which is an ACT prep class. They're spending 9 weeks of their related arts time in an ACT prep class as an 8th grader. And after the first 9 weeks, we're getting some really positive comments back from that. Many thanks to Mr. Miller for leading that initiative with his coaches. Our 8th graders are taking retired ACT tests and having their first experience with that. So that is going very well at this time. And lastly, what I would say is, before I go there, in addition to some other dates, of course, this is the month of November, which means we will have Thanksgiving holiday coming up, where we're closed on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of Thanksgiving week as well. So happy Thanksgiving, and as we get more into the holiday season. The last thing I have is to just ask that you keep in your prayers and your thoughts as one of our teachers, Mrs. Leanne Miller, who is a 4th grade teacher at Holston Elementary, does an outstanding job for us. You may have seen on the news today a house fire in the Fall Creek area, and she and her family, her husband and 3 children, did lose their home this morning about somewhere between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Leslie, and it's a complete loss. So they will have a lot of support from their school family, their church family, and from others in the community as well. But just keeping them in your thoughts and prayers, and we're very thankful that they got out of there just in time, and there was no injuries. So very grateful for that. I'd like to say welcome to Commissioners Darlene Kaufman, also Mr. Herschel Glover. So welcome tonight. It's good to see you all. And that concludes my comments, Mr. Hughes.
Thank you. Now, if you look at your calendars, we'll start with November the 29th. That's the date for our retreat. It's going to start at 8:30, but we're going to have a special call meeting. First thing, at your seat, you should have a board self-evaluation. That has to be the only thing on the agenda for that meeting. So we're going to do that, close that meeting, then we're going to have a workshop. Then at 4:30, we're going to have the retreat during the day, and then we're going to have the workshop at 4:30 in the afternoon. So it's going to be a busy day. Then the regular meeting is going to be on December the 4th at 6:30. At your seats, you also have a copy of this year's board assignments, the committees, and had one other thing that I wanted to address. I wanted to take a few minutes to give our director and our central office staff some credit for a job well done. On October the 11th, there was a meeting held at central office. The meeting was the result of our on-site monitoring exit conference. This is the federal people who we had questions about funding and issues previously. It's important to note that I was allowed to attend the meeting, and they did not know I was there. So the comments and the things that they said were not for my benefit. They didn't know that I was there until after the meeting. I want to give you some of the comments and some of the remarks made by the people that were giving us our exit audit. First of all, there were no findings of non-compliance, financial or otherwise. Geneva Taylor was one of the people present. Geneva Taylor is the monitoring coordinator. Janet Michelle Mansfield is the Northwest Regional Consultant, lead monitor. Lynn Dotson was the Mid-Cumberland Regional Consultant and Secretary Monitor. Dan Formell was the Director of Non-Traditional Education Programs. Jan Lanier, Director of English Learner, Immigrant, and Migrant Programs. Kenneth Woodruff, Director of Equitable Services, Title II and Title V, were also present at the meeting. Geneva Taylor said, note that this document does not even begin to describe the good things that go on in this system. So I'm giving you some quotes now from the people who were giving us our order. We have never seen a system that has a meeting with every level 1 and level 5 teacher, and that's the director. Is that correct? Our director meets with every teacher that's a level 1 or a level 5. Sarah Egbert was praised for the job that she does. The monitoring coordinator commented that how lucky our system was to have her. Our CTE program was described as phenomenal. And you learned this afternoon at the workshop that we have one of the first 4-year agreements with ETSU. They also mentioned our culinary program, our fire truck, and many other programs by name. She also mentioned that most systems don't have a director that supports CTE the way our director does, and that they were very impressed. They also mentioned when they were visiting one of our high schools, witnessing Mr. James, one of our principals, how he handled a delicate issue and how impressed they were with him. She described our overall assessment as great, especially considering the size of this system. Wow, what an awesome team you had, was the description that she gave our staff. They said that the teachers and parents that they talked to conveyed to them the comfort and confidence in leadership. Of course, these are things we already knew, but some questions have been raised since the last audit, and I wanted to see and hear for myself what our results were this time. So to summarize, there were no findings, financial or otherwise, and additionally, we were praised for efforts above and beyond what is normally seen or expected. So on behalf of the Board of Education, our students, and our parents, I'd like to thank our staff, our central office staff, our director, for a job well done, and I want to take this opportunity to recognize you personally and thank you for the extra effort. Without sitting in that meeting, I would not have known how involved this audit was and how detailed. So thank you very much. And we're very thankful to have each and every one of you. I'll now turn the meeting over to the director. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. That was totally unexpected, but I will echo his comments as far as this staff. Many thanks to our assistant director, Ms. Buckles, and also our federal projects supervisor, Ms. Akert, for leading this monitoring. It was 3 days. I didn't mention that in my report because I'm still waiting on their final written report to come to us. As soon as we get that, we will give that to you all as well and follow up on that even more. But it is an intense 3 days while they're here. They do meet with students, parents, and teachers, and they visited 3 of our schools, which was Ketron Elementary, North Middle, and Sullivan East High School, and those are the schools that they choose randomly. They did have a good visit, and it was good to hear the comments that they had about our staff. So thank you, Mr. Hughes, for highlighting that for our team. Moving on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is item 6A, which is the textbook committee member update. You did approve the textbook committee at our October meeting. Since then, we have had 2 changes that need to take place. One is Kayla McMeans from Sullivan Gardens is coming off, and Teresa King from Sullivan Gardens will take her place. And additionally, Susan Ward at Sullivan East High will no longer be on the committee, and William Locke will take her place. So we do have 2 changes on the textbook committee, and at this time, I recommend approval of that.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Gilmore makes a motion. Do I hear a second? Second by Mr. Jones. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas? Yes.
The next item up on the agenda is item number 7, new business. Item 7A is approval of the BTEA 7S, contract for West Ridge High School. This is for electrical services, and I recommend approval.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Thomas makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Jones. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Item 7B is West Ridge High School site prep. We did discuss this in our work session where I need to request approval to sign a change order for rock excavation at West Ridge High School. I recommend approval.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jones makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gilmore. Questions on the motion? Hearing none?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Item 7C is the Sullivan East Middle School sewer pump station easement. I think Mr. Hull has provided you with information on that during the work session, but I would ask him if he has anything to add at this time, or if he would like to renew some of that information.
Well, this is just mandatory, in order to, complete the sewer project there. We do have an agreement with the gentleman that, owns that property. Obviously very important to that project. I think we've got a very reasonable price on it. It's just a small, very small piece of property we are buying, and, hope to close on that in the next day or two.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jones makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Robinson seconds the motion. Questions on the motion? I would like to make a comment, since I know we have a gentleman in the audience, that this is a point of interest. As I mentioned in the workshop, there's community support for the sewer line, opposition for an open air plant. And I didn't know that we were going to have a guest here tonight with that concern, but I told him before the meeting started that the sewer line was the way we were going to go. So, any other comments? Hearing none?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Item 7D is approval for a resolution to go to the county commission for the Sullivan East Middle School sewer pump station. This will also be approval for the board. The board will also be approving here that we utilize the reserve that was set up this past summer for funding of that sewer as well. So we're voting on using the reserve to pay for the sewer pump station, and also to send a resolution to the commission to request permission to utilize that reserve. And I recommend approval.
You have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Gilmore makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Jones seconds the motion. Questions on the motion? Hearing none.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda was referenced just a few minutes ago, but it's the articulation agreement with East Tennessee State University for our high school students to start doing some dual credit with ETSU in accounting, and I recommend approval.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion? Have a motion by Mr. Thomas. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Robinson seconds the motion. Discussion on the motion. Hearing none?
Ms. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
The last item on our agenda is item 7F, and that is the SCORE grant. This is money that is coming into our school district. This is no matching funds with this, so actually by approving this recommendation, you will be giving us the permission to accept money coming in. So So I recommend approval to accept the SCORE grant.
We have a recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Jones makes a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Robinson seconds the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none?
Ms. Thomas?
Abstain.
Mr. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes, that concludes, the items on the agenda that I have.
Thank you very much. We do have, this is the time of meeting, we usually have public comment for non-agenda items. We do have a guest that wishes to speak. Mr. Tipton, if you would approach the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Limit your comments to 3 to 5 minutes. When I give you this signal, you'll know it's time to start wrapping up and summarizing your statements. Welcome.
My name is Becky Tipton. My address is 209 Main Street of Bluff City, Tennessee, zip code 37618. My main concern is where buses will not be dropping off at the schools, or dropping off at the daycares and picking up next year, because that leads to parents like me not being able to get to work on time or leave work early to have to go pick up. It's a concern, because I have 2 boys and that will be going. And there's one already there in school. And it's a concern for lots of parents too, I'm sure. Because it's just something that is very important. It can make me up to 30 minutes late every day, waiting on a bus or taking my child to the school. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Seeing no other public comments, any additional discussion from the board? Hearing none, we stand adjourned.